cast your mind back to February last year, and you may remember the excitement when NASA successfully landed its Perseverance rover on Mars. Here we are this morning on the red planet.
I do. I do remember.
Flash red so far.
Yes. It's been a busy 15 months or so, doing plenty of roving. Now it's ready for the most important part of its mission, searching for, guess what? Signs of life.
Ooh, I feel like we need some music.
We do.
Our science editor, Rebecca Morell, has the details.
The parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration.
It's a mission that began with a jaw-dropping descent, beaming back real footage of a Mars landing as NASA's Perseverance rover was lowered onto the Martian surface. Over the last year, it's revealed the planet as never seen before, taking some selfies along the way. It's been busy trundling across the dusty terrain. And it's made history by flying a helicopter, the first powered flight on another planet. Now Perseverance is ready to begin the most important part of its mission, hunting for signs of life. And it's reached an area where it has the best chance of finding it.
I have been staring at this delta for years now, mostly in orbiter images. And now we're finally right in front of it, seeing it through the eyes of the rover. We know there was once liquid water on the surface of Mars. We know there are organics on the surface of Mars. And so all signs point to the surface of Mars 3.5 to 4 billion years ago being a habitable planet.
The rover's exploring an area called the Jezero crater. Billions of years ago, it was a huge lake. You can clearly see a river running into it. And this gives you an idea of what it once would have looked like. If we zoom in, this coloured area shows where the river met the lake, depositing sediment to create a delta. The rover landed here in the floor of the crater. It spent more than a year travelling the 7 miles, that's about 11 kilometres, to get to the base of the delta. Now it has a 40-metre climb to reach the top. So it's deployed the mini Mars helicopter to scout the best path ahead. Perseverance is the most advanced rover ever deployed. It will survey the delta to select the most promising rocks. An onboard drill will collect samples so scientists can analyse what's inside.
What we're looking for are little bits of ancient microbial communities that might have fallen down to the bottom of the lake, that were living somewhere in the water column, and then they fell down to the bottom. They may have been microbes living in the watershed that got washed in by the rivers and concentrated in the bottom of the lake.
The scientists hope the rover's high-tech instruments will find clear signatures of life. But the best samples will be left on the Martian surface and collected by a future mission that will bring the rocks back to Earth.
Imagine if we found evidence that there was some sort of microscopic life there. That's huge. It's, mind-blowing in a way. And so I think the opportunity to look for that and bring it back to Earth and then see what we see is going to rewrite history books regardless of the answer.
The mission is revealing the eerie beauty of Mars, even showing us a Martian solar eclipse and capturing sounds of the rover hard at work. The red planet is dry and dusty today, but exploring the delta over the next 6 months will give us a new window into its past and could finally answer the question of whether life ever existed on Mars. Rebecca Morell, BBC News.
Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it?
It's exciting stuff, isn't it?
We are joined now by one of our regular space experts, the astrophysicist, Dr. Becky Smethhurst from the University of Oxford. I think we spoke to you at the time that this was all kicking off, and now we're getting to the next stage of the project. I imagine you and many other people are very excited about this.
Yeah, massively so. I mean, the descent was nervy enough, but now we're actually getting images back from the rover, the likes of which we haven't really seen before. This river delta is a newly explored kind of area. We've only ever seen, very dry, dusty craters before, like where it first landed. So the fact that it's getting here, the rocks look really different here as well. We've even seen huge boulders planted at the edge of this delta as well that we presume got there from this old river running down into the crater as well, which would be so exciting. It would confirm our ideas of this hypothesis that Mars used to be habitable, perhaps. It used to have the conditions right for life and right for water. It had a much thicker atmosphere billions of years ago before the sun bombarded it with radiation and it stripped it away. And so the idea that we could maybe find these biosignatures, these markers that life existed, and I'm talking about, maybe fossilized bacteria here rather than sort of like, I don't know, the foundations of the houses of little green men from billions of years ago. That's not what we're looking for, right? We're looking for these biosignatures, and we're so excited that we could find in these fossilized life. And imagine if we find current, bacteria on Mars as well. The possibilities are endless.
And Becky, you mentioned what you think conditions might have been like many, many years ago. What are conditions like there now?
I mean, they're pretty harsh, right? It's rugged terrain. I don't know if you've ever driven one of those tiny little remote controlled cars on really rugged terrain and watched it flip over. The team have to be really careful not to drive it somewhere where it's too steep or there's a boulder that could tip it. And that's what Ingenuity, this little Ginny, as people have nicknamed it, has been flying around on the surface trying to map out a course. But the other thing is as well, it's not like a remote controlled car. You can't just say, oh, go forward a bit and watch it happen, because the light travel time to Mars and back is like half an hour or so. So you have to send the instructions for it to do something for a really long time and then just wait and see what happens. So it's really, really nerve-wracking.
In terms of what the main motivations of this project are, what would be a great result to learn and sort of 5 years, 10 years down the line?
I think it would be finding, fossilized signatures of life, these sort of like bacteria colonies in the rock samples that Perseverance is collecting. And the difficult thing is there's only 43 slots for rock samples, and already about 8 or 9 of them are filled. So the team have to be really careful when they get to somewhere exciting to not just be like, grab a rock sample and then not have a space left later on when they find somewhere that also looks promising as well. So they're having to rein themselves in a little bit. And there's going to be a European Space Agency mission that goes and collects those rock samples from the surface and brings them back to Earth in a couple of years. And I think then is when we're going to really find out whether there really was life on Mars.
And Becky, how important is it that we do find out more?
I think it's incredibly important because it teaches us a lot about how life came to be in the solar system. Was Earth unique or not? There's one idea that maybe comets, asteroids impacting with the planets very early on brought things like water and amino acids and proteins, the ingredients for life, to the various different planets. So if it brought it to Earth, what's to say it didn't bring it to Mars as well? And so it's sort of by answering questions about, well, if there was life on Mars, how did it get there? Does it look similar to Earth? Does it look completely different? It'll help us trace our own origin stories back as well.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
You're very welcome.
It's been lovely to talk to you, and I look forward to watching the next development on this programme.
Yes, you're going to watch it.
I was just thinking that I'm not going to get to speak to.
I know. I'd sense a little bit of
again.
hesitation there. Thank you, Becky. It's lovely to talk to you, and thank you for helping us through all of that story over the last few months.
It's a great one to keep an eye on, isn't it?